Welcome to Zim Papers Television Network, ZTN, for Diplomatic Passport. My name is Robert Mkundiwa. Now, as you may well know, this is your daily weekday COVID-19 update show where we give you updates on coronavirus and the statistics and a hell of a lot more here on ZTN. Of course, from the world, the region, and definitely Zimbabwe. Now, as always, we start by taking a look at our statistics as availed to us by the Ministry of Health and Childcare as to where we stand with regards to coronavirus. Now, Zimbabwe now has 7,837 confirmed cases of COVID-19, including 228 deaths and 6,122 recoveries, which puts the national recovery rate, or rather keeps it, at 78%. Now, 467 PCR tests were done in the last 24 hours and 21 new cases were recorded. Now, these are all local transmission cases, and Harare is still the epicenter with 3,252 cases, followed by Bulawayo, which now has 1,447 cases of COVID-19. Now, certainly we were looking at those statistics. While we are keeping that 78% rate of recovery, we could have it go up a notch, but we really are more worried by the less than 500 PCR tests that were held or conducted yesterday, because certainly we need to continue testing. What happened to the 1,000 plus that we had said we wanted to have as a target? And that's something that we obviously need to keep nudging our leadership about, so that they at least keep that testing rate very high. But enough of that. Those are the statistics. Of course, we're going to be talking more and more about how COVID-19 has affected us. We've got something called the new normal. And the new normal has had old names in the arts and pushed them aside and had them come up with new ideas, because they were conducting a lot of live shows and they were bringing together tons and tons of people. They've had to migrate to social media, and there at social media, we've managed to actually see other new names. I've got one of those new names here, and I believe you came to the studio, and welcome to the studio, but I believe you came using your Navigator. Tell us who you are, your real name, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your art.
Okay, so real name, I'm Tinashe Navonika. Then I go by Navigator when I'm doing my music and my arts. Tinashe is just a local Zim boy, born and bred in Harare. Then I migrated to Johannesburg, where I'm based now. Okay. I work and stay there, family's there, you know, and that's where...
And what sort of music do you do, Navigator?
Okay, so I call it Afrofusion. I call it Afrofusion. I'm actually, I started off as a cross-genre artist. Then I figured Afrofusion is what it is. I find myself doing Afro beats once in a while, R&B once in a while, Afro jazz even. So I was like, okay, so all these genres fused together, and me being African, why not call it Afrofusion?
Maybe to help our viewers there, we should play a little something coming from the man. He's here in a happy place, and what better song to play than one of his videos known as Happy Place?
I'm ndavakuyenda ini ndapfeka boot handizogere kumashure ndoenda ini kure kwekava ndokusina mutsuku
Now that was Happy Place. Now, Navigator. Very interesting concept there, because it starts from Bare. I don't know whether that's the happy place, and then eventually we see you in all white. I don't know whether you're a forex dealer, but we see you in all white after that. And tell me about the story behind the song, and then tell me about the story behind the concept of the video.
Okay, so the song is an acknowledgement of the problems we have currently. You know, we've had pandemics before. We've got new pandemics now. We're probably going to have more pandemics.
Yeah.
That's just about, life. So this song is an acknowledgement of all the problems we have. But as much as we acknowledge, the song is a question in a way. What are we going to do about our pandemics? Are we going to fold our hands, cry foul, sob all day and night?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe we're just going to take a leap of faith and go to a happy place.
So, the video, because you start from Bare, unless you're saying Bare is a pandemic, and then you leapt off to your happy place, which was the golf course.
Okay.
But that concept.
Okay. So the whole story behind the video, personally, it's a setup. I think I came from a similar setup, not precisely in Bare, but I came from that setup growing up. So the video was just a depiction of, if you see, there's a young man standing by me. That's like the younger version of myself.
I actually asked whether that was your brother, because I could tell since the similarities, and you say that was an actor. So now that's the concept, that this is a younger you.
Yeah, that's the younger me, and this younger me is still in this place, the place that I came from.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the older version. Now going to all those golfing vibes, to the happy place. So the whole video really just depicts. If you see, there are clips of there's an old man who's weaving. He's saying, "Okay, man, this whole crying foul thing is not working. I'm going to start
doing weaving is going to be my happy place."
Yeah, it's going to be my happy place. It's going to be my gateway from Bare to this place, from this place to this place. So this video is just showing a transition from this place to this place to this place until you're happy, and it's just trying to emphasize movement. Don't stay stuck. Just go. Take a step and go to the happy place.
Well, if you're only just joining us here, you are at a happy place. But if you don't know the show that you're currently watching, well, this is what you're currently watching. Yes, certainly. Diplomatic Passport on ZTN. This is your happy place. And I'm in the studio today with Navigator, who, for all intents and purposes, you're talking about where you've come from as an artist, and that boom on social media. Tell us about that, and how your career has suddenly started blossoming at a time where people thought careers would be dying, ironically.
Yeah, so fortunate enough, I also got to find my happy place during the pandemic. Trying as these times are, for us, it was devastating news, to hear that everything is on lockdown, shut down, we can't move. But then there's always a reason for something happening. In the happy place, virtual shows started popping up, social media started popping up, people started giving time to YouTube and all that. So I think my first single I released in March, and that's towards the time that it all started. I didn't think it would do well, but surprisingly, people had more time on social media, people had more time on YouTube, you know. So in a way, this pandemic gave birth to a beauty in the arts. I think take us back a year, we wouldn't have done or even thought of virtual shows as a thing, you know. But yeah, there we are. We're now in our happy place.
Absolutely, absolutely. But tell me about family in South Africa. When did you come to Zimbabwe? And weren't you personally affected by these lockdowns and separated for a bit of a while? Because you've got family here, you've got family in South Africa.
Yeah, so I think I came here around Feb, I think beginning of year. I would say I came beginning of year. And I won't lie, honestly, I took a huge knock. And that knock almost contributed to this song, Happy Place. You know, you start asking yourself, okay, I actually am logged here, like literally I'm actually logged down here, and my family is there. What do I do about it? Do I actually sit and cry, or I actually have to start making something out of it?
Most of it.
Then boom, the music started. So I can actually safely say my music started during the pandemic. It actually started during the pandemic.
Wow, it's an ironic thing to say, but you know what, Navigator, it's been a pleasure having you here. And while you gave us a very happy story, and unfortunately the next story I'm going to be talking about is actually a sad story, but eventually we're going to play out with one of your videos that's going to be coming very soon. And I wish you all the best, and we've been seeing you booming all over the media, and I wish you all the best with regards to that.
Thank you, Robert.
Well, that's Navigator. Of course, as I said, we're going to be closing with one of his songs, and I hope you're going to be enjoying that bit. And I'm going to come back to him before we play it, of course, because we want him to give us a little bit about what that song is about. But in the meantime, there's been very sad news that's come out of the world of medicine. Now, it is with a profoundly heavy heart that the International AIDS Society today mourned the passing of Timothy Ray Brown. Now, he's the first person to be cured of HIV. Known as the Berlin patient, Timothy was cured of HIV in 2008 after undergoing a complex stem cell transplant for lymphoma. Now, for the past 6 months, Timothy had been living with a recurrence of the leukemia that had entered his spine and brain, and he had remained HIV-free, fortunately. Now, Timothy, living with HIV and acute myeloid leukemia, received a bone marrow transplant in Germany, Berlin, in 2007, hence the name Berlin patient. Now, the donor was naturally resistant to HIV infection because of a mutation in the CCR5 gene, a critical protein required by HIV to enter and infect cells. Now, Timothy, who we've pictured there, stopped taking antiretroviral therapy very soon after the transplant, and he remained free of any detectable virus. In other words, he was absolutely cured. Now, his experience suggested that HIV might one day be curable. This fueled a wide range of efforts by researchers and institutions focusing on HIV cure and research. He made us absolutely hopeful, but sadly, after more than a decade, alive and well, having been totally cured of HIV, that virus that causes AIDS or AIDS-related infections, we have lost him. We woke up this morning to news that, of course, he had this cancer and was fighting a recurrence of this cancer, and there was quite a lot of talk on social media, but unfortunately now he has passed on. On to other news right now. I've got news from my sharpshooter. If you are regular here on ZTN, especially Diplomatic Passport, you will know our sharpshooter, Wilson Kakurira. Well, he had gone out there into the Bundu. He loves it. And there he was taking sets of beautiful wildlife pictures. But he also caught up with the Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Authority, which he says has roped in local artists and influencers in a bid to promote domestic tourism. Now, tourism is something that we've been talking about because it's opening up a little bit, and we intend to keep talking about tourism because there are new levies that have come on, and we really want to take the government to task with regards to that because we want to keep encouraging people to travel. But the Zim Wildlife Authority is doing that, and they brought this program that they go to influencers, and influencers are encouraging us to travel in our country. Now, the first person they took on board is, they're very brave people. They took on board the jumping genius jar signal. You know, wherever there's a jump, there's jar signal, so they went with him. I will tell you, they risked they ran the risk of him jumping across the Victoria Falls from one end to that other end in Zambia where that sheet falls from, because there actually is footage of the young man jumping up and down as he usually does. But of course, all is well that ends well. He didn't misbehave. He's had the time of his life, and he's asking that you join him as well. Now let's hear from Tinashe Farao, the spokesperson from Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority, and also from Jar Signal. And let's see if he's going to give us a jump or two.
Tsanangura mufaro wandinawo ndifunga ndikatokwanisa kana kutsanangura zvimwe zvandakufila zvandanga ndisingafili nezvimwe zvandakuonawo kutoti saka siki chato chino parks yandikoshesa maite yenyu parks mandisimudzira kundisimudzira chaiko mupfungwa chemu ndakuona zvakawandisa ndadzidza bwanzo chichi ngoma wari pofuta unogona kuratidza zvakawanda kudzidzisa zvakawanda kuti muzivo futi zvinhu zvino inspire ngetiri panapa zvandogara ndichiona mafilimu ndakura ndichingofarira kuona mhuka muraramiro wadzo dzichirumana zviita zese ndaizvifarira zvisingaiti. Saka nhasi ndiri mubhundu macho musango macho chaimo madzinenge dziri dzechokwadi kwete dziya dzemapicture dzechokwadi dzacho dziri munomu.
Mukomadzidzisa chii nhasi?
Tadzidza zvakawanda kuti nzouka inoti ikamwa mvura handiti iri mvura inozvidira mvura yozvidira futi mvura yayo ndigeza ndikuite chini but yapedza futi inoenda unozvidira futi mavhu. Ndipo ndishamisa ipapo
ndizvozvo inenge ichizvidira mavhu kuitira kuti tupukanana tunoruma tuyati hatuzokwanisi kunyatso kupinda mukati.
Exactly.
Nokuti these are wild animals dzetinadzo munomu muHwange National Park.
And we are doing this to work with the local artists, with local celebrities, so that we improve our domestic tourism. We are encouraging people to visit Zimbabwe so that they can build Zimbabwe. We are the only people who can visit this country. This COVID-19 has taught us a lot of things in terms of tourism. It's an eye-opener to encourage one another to say, let's visit our country so that we can build our country, so that we can invest that money into conservation, so that we can look after our animals for the benefit of this current generation and also for the benefit of future generations. We owe it to our future generations to look after our animals. We have a rich history, a legacy, which started way back during colonialism.
If I was a betting man, I would have had a lot of money if I had bet that gentleman was going to jump, and jump he did. And I hope we're all going to hop on along to our local destinations and travel along with the Parks and Wildlife Authority. Of course, they are our partners here on Zim Papers Television Network, with Tinashe Farao having graced this very studio with us, speaking on issues about looking after our beautiful, beautiful country. And speaking of the beauty of our country, we speak of the beauty of the arts. Now, what's the name of this song that we're going to close off with, Navigator? And tell me a little bit about it before we summon it.
Okay. The song is called Zvitadzo. Zvitadzo is pretty much like a confession. You know, you get to think of something you did in 1990 and you look at what's happening to you currently and you're like...
You should have said 2005. Now you're defying your age. Look at us. Look at us. Yeah, but yes, we remember.
Well, 2005. You know, you think of something that you actually did in 2005, for example. Then you look at your current situation and you can't stop but wonder if it has something to do with what you did back then. And, you know, having come, I mean, boys will be boys. You know, there are days, you know, we misbehave. And so Zvitadzo is a song that it's like a reckoning. you think of that thing and you start wondering, is it that thing? Then the moment you realize, oh, actually it could be, you start asking for forgiveness, just like the prodigal son. Like, dear Father, I know I messed up, but can I just come back in? Can you please take me in? I'll do anything now to come back into a good side. The world hasn't been friendly, so please take me in.
All right, so we're going to watch that. We're going to watch Ritazo and that asking for forgiveness. And I will ask for forgiveness right now because I know you wanted this show to continue on and on and on. But now this is the moment where we ask you to continue sending us your comments and contributions to my Twitter handle at ZimRobbie, that's ZimRobbie, or my email address on robinkundiwa@gmail.com. Quickly, your social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, so I use @Navigator, Navigator, NAVYGETA. Twitter is the same, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, same as YouTube, same handle.
Absolutely fabulous, and all the best, and wish you the best, and wish you a very great night as we see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we've got an early edition of Diplomatic Passport because we've got a very, very special edition talking about contraception with our partners, the Population Services Zimbabwe. Remember, yesterday I did hint that they're coming on board, their family, and they're going to be talking about contraception because the International Day of Contraception is right upon us. And we need to talk about these issues because these are some of the issues that really came to the fore during the time of COVID-19, where women especially did not have access to these very, very important interventions. And we're going to be talking about these and other issues tomorrow at 11 o'clock here on Zim Papers Television Network on an early edition of Diplomatic Passport. Until then, have a great evening, and we leave you watching Navigator and Sritazo.
We just not made it. Military touch.
Zvitadzo zvangu zvakajuka kungeropa ndichenesei zvonditera ye zvitadzo zvangu zvakajuka kungeropa ndichenesei zvonditera ye ndaimbobata zvangu ndisina chandaitya kana kufunga kuti mangwana zvichadiko tisuwana ndamba kuudzwa anamuona takutsva asi ndanzwa ini baba ndouya semwana muparadzi murasiki nditambire baba ndouya semwana muparadzi murasiki nditambire nyangwe semuranda zvitadzo zvangu zvakajuka kungeropa ndichenesei zvonditera ye zvitadzo zvangu zvakajuka kungeropa ndichenesei zvonditera ye my sins are closing in on me. Oh Lord, heal my soul. These demons on my back, I try to take control. They pulling me down.